What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today when I talk to you about SoFi, I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, we have a lot of Fed speakers, and that could cause some volatility, no different than last week. There's a lot of hot topics for them to really bring up. Last week, stagflation was a hot one. This week, clearly, Trump gave them a lot of good ammunition to kind of talk about, and that is tariffs. So luckily enough, over the weekend, we haven't really seen any escalation from either side. So nothing from China, nor the States. So I think going into this upcoming week, people will be just waiting for updates. And so when it comes down to the Fed speakers, that could cause some volatility. We have a lot of manufacturing data, such as on Wednesday, we have the New York Manufacturing Index. Thursday, we have the Philly Manufacturing Index, and then on Friday, we have the manufacturing production. So in reality, that could kind of move the market a little bit. A lot of the key labor data is still going to be paused only because of the shutdown. So I don't know if that's a positive thing or not. Companies unveiling their earnings. A lot of analysts have said that earnings season and this earnings season is going to really propel the market to the next level higher. So with a lot of big banks and a lot of other big companies unveiling their earnings this week, that could really impact SoFi as well as the broader market. So something to keep in mind. Specific to SoFi, there really isn't anything planned for this upcoming week. One thing did come out though, that was posted by Lucid Insider. And if you kind of read the terms of this, so the latest, I guess, news that SoFi has been putting out in the form of a email, I do believe, it looks like crypto is going to be unveiled, again, if you kind of read this, December the 1st. So that might be some good indication of when they'll be launching crypto. So that would be huge. But timing wise, I feel like it's not the best. Well, I guess December is far enough out. If they were to have launched crypto this week, I feel like that wouldn't get the same reaction as, let's say, 2 weeks ago, because crypto 2 weeks ago, like, it was euphoria. Everyone was hyped up, everyone was excited. But because of the recent flash crash, and I feel like even on Twitter, that's just filling up my feed of everyone, how much they've lost on cryptocurrency, it's not being seen in a positive light right now. So if it is launched December the 1st, I feel like that's far enough out that people can still be positive about cryptocurrency, but still, that's something to keep in mind. So we've been kind of waiting for this for the last 3 quarters plus. It's just finally is coming to fruition. So this isn't a real good reason to buy SoFi this week, but if we get more and more Easter egg updates, then yeah, definitely that should be some pretty exciting times. Some people have, in my comments, kind of mentioned that cryptocurrency has already been priced into SoFi. And I do tend to partially agree, but if they put out news, that's going to cause a FOMO because a lot of analysts are going to be really giving ratings because of that. And then those ratings will really push SoFi higher. So I do tend to agree that SoFi, the stock price itself, has already priced in cryptocurrency. But what follows that big announcement, that should really push SoFi a little bit higher, if that hopefully that made sense. But going into this upcoming week, 9.37% of the free float's being shorted, works out to be 110.3 million shares overall are being shorted. And I brought this up time and time again. So for instance, on Friday, shorts only increased about 4,000 shares. That is it. Given the fact that there is more than 10 million shares available and cost to borrow is 0.3, which is an annual rate, not a daily rate, so it is very cheap to short SoFi, the fact that they didn't double down is relatively bullish to me. This is why if you kind of look at the flow, one of the biggest culprits that really suppressed SoFi and the broader market last week was algorithmic trading. So you can kind of see that based on the smaller transactions. So I do largely feel Friday's push lower was unjustified and kind of artificially done. But going into this upcoming week, looking at the options, you do see from the bull standpoint for it to be kind of between that $29 to $30 range. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub, kind of looks like the consensus for it to be between that 25 or sub 25 to 26. So definitely a little bit more upside is anticipated. And yeah, rightfully so. I think SoFi has largely outperformed the broader market over the last 2 weeks, month. So despite the market largely being red some days, SoFi just says, F you, I'm going higher. But a couple of key points to watch for with it at 26.19. It is right below this pivot point. So 26.24 will be that key point to really watch for it to get over and stay above on Monday. 27.68 and then 28.58 is going to be the next on target / resistance points. And then flip side, 23.89 and 22.45 will be support levels. So if you're wanting to dollar cost average, swing trade, or whatever else, just orient a lot of your buys to some of those levels. One thing to take note of though, we're roughly around 2 weeks away from SoFi's upcoming Q3 earnings. So one thing that always does happen is we get bearish ratings. Even though we did get a couple recent bearish ratings over the last 2 weeks, we could get more. So again, don't be surprised if we get some bearish ones popping up, and that obviously in an attempt to really kind of hurt SoFi, cause it to go down. So we do have a couple. So for instance, Citizens and whatever else, I think it was Barclays and a few others. So maybe they might be giving ratings, and that could try to and really disrupt SoFi. But aside from that, on Friday, it did close below that 10-day moving average. So it kind of shows that there is a little bit of slowing momentum. But looking at the market position right over here, you can kind of see that there is still a lot of good willing buyers up until pretty much at 25.20, which is right below that 50-day moving average. So if, let's say, there's still a lot of fear, people over the weekend just said, you know what, I'm out, I'm going to sell first thing Monday. If there is that push lower and it breaks below all those willing buyers, then this is where you could see kind of things get quite scary because you don't really see that much willing buyers below that. And plus, generally speaking, that 50-day moving average is a very big deal for SoFi. Luckily enough, on October the 3rd, it did bounce off of that and kind of trended higher. But going into this upcoming week, watch for that 50-day moving average, because if it does break below that, then most likely anticipate that $23 range realistically. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But like I mentioned, based on the flow, it does go to show that Friday's push lower was just artificially done. And this is why when I always talk about where volume comes from, I never like to see algorithmic trading being kind of the main culprit and the main amount of volume, because it's hollow, right? Both directions, whether it's pushing stock prices higher or lower. I'd much rather see institutions trading it, even if they're selling. Them trading is much better than algorithmic trading. But aside from that, though, there really hasn't been all that much in news or any expectations for this upcoming week. So at the end of the day, I do feel that we will be very volatile, but most likely we will be closing by the end of the week right below this pivot point of that 26.24. So I do feel realistically we could go down and touch that 50-day moving average, but most likely we could kind of bounce off of that. Nothing significant, so I don't really see 52-week highs being hit or anything this week, but consolidation weeks are normal, and honestly, given the circumstances of the broader market, a lot of big names coming out saying that we're overvalued. Even Tom Lee recently saying that he sees more pain, but potentially because of the earnings season, that could be the catalyst that really pushes the broader market to kind of the next level higher. I think consolidation is rather normal and expected, and plus it's still very healthy for the technicals. So let me know your thoughts on that, and where do you see things going? So throw your price prediction in the comments below. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.